All right, guys, I am so honored, man. Like, I sometimes got to pinch myself when I look back, when I look at my life and some of the great people that I get to work with. So if you don't know me, I'm the Booker, scientific wrestling founder, invented the Mace Bell. My name's Jake Shannon, but the real reason we're here is the Godfather of MMA, the guy who was the architect for the modern sport that is just blowing up. None other than Pat, the Croatian sensation, Miletich. Pat, hey, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for being here.
I'm doing great, Jake. Thanks for having me, brother.
Pat is blowing up. He's always done big things, but briefly, Pat, we want to talk about obviously Shoot Pro, but you've got so many great epic things going, right? Like you're doing all this great stuff with saviors, cell saviors, all that kind of stuff. You got a 2 second drop on that, like so people can benefit?
Sure. I mean, I think the general population understands the severity of the situation with the environment, the severity of our soil issues. Then we've mined all the nutrients out of the soil over the past, 100 and some years, toxified the soil with many chemicals and inputs to grow food, and that of course ends up not only in our food but our water, our air. We've killed the soil essentially, and so whatever you do to your environment, you essentially do to yourself and your children. And the American people are a direct reflection of the soil and environmental problems and toxification that's gone on. So we just do a lot of educational pieces, help people understand that there is a direct link between the soil, the environment, and their health, and help them understand that, yes, you can fix your soil in a very short amount of time. It doesn't take that much work. And you can also address your own nutrient deficiencies and toxicities, get the toxins out, get the poisons out, and put in the real nutrients that turn people's vitality and health, around pretty quickly.
One of the things you used to say that I love, because it kind of does wrap in and tie into the MMA, is that you build superhumans. Just real briefly, so people want to get involved with soil saviors or cell saviors. What are the best websites or URLs?
People can go to soilsaviors.org and cell save yours with IORS.org as well. And look, go on, research, go to our YouTube pages, listen to the educational videos, and you'll be able to probably come away with a pretty good basic fundamental education on why real minerals and what real minerals and real vitamins do for not only, the soil and plants, but also insects, animals, and human beings. We are just part of the bigger organism that is the earth. So if we fix, again, our environment, we will turn the ship around.
Yeah, I love that. And look, I opened this up saying, man, I got to pinch myself sometimes. I mean, dude, you literally built the modern game. I know that you're humble and stuff, and you may not agree, but too bad, because that's really how I feel. And I mean, not only did you have such a winning record in the sport of MMA, but you were able to architect so many other people. I know that obviously nutrition and soil health and stuff is a huge part of that. But, to the actual sport itself, I've been absolutely blessed to have you on board as the president of Shoot Pro, and this vision that we have for competitive professional wrestling, right? I have a strong business background, obviously done a lot of work in the catch wrestling area, but you're literally the guy that so much of the modern playbook is built upon. Right now, this MMA market is getting bigger and bigger. We've got obviously TKO and all those players. Now we've got Jake Paul doing this Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey fight with MVP. We've got one. The pie just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Right now, I think the current market is something like 50 billion. I think TKO wanted to get some crazy valuation or something like that. But I feel like so many promoters are guessing. But with Shoot Pro, we're really trying to engineer the future. We've got a very interesting ecosystem with the software where we actually meet young athletes where they're at on their cell phones, unfortunately, and get them out of the screens and onto the mats actually wrestling. Shoot Pro is this interesting space, right? That isn't being occupied by anybody else in the market. It's this catch wrestling space, which is so cool because it's a revolution, not just in the cliche sense, like in the actual geometric sense, that it's revolving 100% to the point of origin.
Sure.
And the irony is we're just wanting to do real professional wrestling. What is your perspective on this and the systems that we need to build and the fighters that would be geared towards these professional wrestling rules, but with a competitive structure like UFC?
Well, I would say this, in terms of being the architect, so to speak, as you put it, of the modern MMA, the gym, the concepts, things like that. I would say more than anything else, that was done out of necessity because as you know, I spent my entire childhood sick. So while I was a good wrestler, I just couldn't breathe, right? So I never really reached the pinnacles of the places that I knew I could go to just because I simply was suffocating every wrestling match. Through obviously healing myself at about age 20, that led to world titles and a lot of other great things in this life. But because I wasn't the best wrestler in the world and wasn't even the best wrestler in my hometown, there was a lot of holes in my game. I wasn't the best boxer. I wasn't the best kickboxer. I wasn't the best jiu-jitsu guy or sambo guy or any of these things or catch-can guy. But what I knew that if I got good enough in all the aspects where I could hang with world-class or world champion people in those particular areas, if I can spar 10 rounds with the best boxer in the world at my weight, which I did, if I could wrestle with really high-end wrestlers, if I could compete with the world's best Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts and go an hour where we're back and forth, compete against, high-level Muay Thai fighters, things like that I was going to be able to walk into an MMA cage and pretty much find holes in anybody's game. And so that was the concept, that strength in all areas, right? We want to be versatile. We want to be dangerous in all areas. And that's really how that happened. So anyway, going back to this question that you're talking about now, Mike, my belief in catch wrestling, in Catch's Catch Can and Shoot Pro is there because it is the original, the most powerful aspect and the best combination of rule sets that not only creates technicians, but it demands athletic ability, work ethic, endurance, tendon strength, explosiveness, all of those things, which then translates to a very appealing product to the masses. You're looking at absolute genetic freaks who are in the pinnacle of their condition and shape with massive amounts of knowledge on how to pin or submit another human being who's a very high-level athlete as well. So you're going to just weed out the folks that will gravitate over to other areas. It's like, look, in Iowa, the crappy wrestlers go out for basketball. That's what happens with Catch's Catch Can. The crappy Catch's Catch Can guys are going to go play basketball or do whatever it is they do, right?
Right. Yeah, I love that. And, it's so interesting because I do call you the architect because it was literally in the name, Miletich Fighting Systems. You actually were developing like a system and you proved it. And obviously it wasn't a factory or anything, it wasn't anything like that, but like literally you had all the top guys, like what was 11 or 12 world MMA champions coming out of Miletich Fighting Systems.
Yeah, we had, and the guys wanted to make, it was funny, the guys brought it up back in the day, kind of at our pinnacle there, before I decided to retire from coaching, but that we were going to make a t-shirt with a factory with normal humans on a conveyor belt going in one side of the factory and then superhuman monsters coming out the other side and have stamped on the side Miletich Fighting Systems, so that was the concept, really, is to create a cookie cutter system that could turn a normal human being into a dangerous human being in a pretty short amount of time.
Yeah, and that's why I'm absolutely thrilled to have you as the president of Shoot Pro, because it's that, I'm a data guy, I'm a math guy, I'm a business guy. So I appreciate that kind of engineering mindset. I'm just super duper stoked. And this is also I don't think people really understand yet, and we're trying to get the word out, and that's what we're doing here and talking to some big names. But I don't think people understand, we're actually building like a complete ecosystem here, right? So people haven't really seen it because it hasn't been rolled out. I've teased it, I've talked about it, but this Grappler Clash app that we have, basically it's the Pokemon Go of wrestling. It's like the Tinder of fighting. So people can match up, meet up, it tracks, records everything. People can move up the ranks and eventually get fed into these larger organizations, obviously aiming for Shoot Pro to eventually be one of those larger organizations. So it's like I really have this vision of it being almost like the Moneyball of combat, leveraging your ability to build superhumans, my ability to build software systems. I've had a software company for 25 years, and my ability to architect on my side the business systems. So, you know, I think it's important for people to realize how massive this opportunity is with Shoe Pro. We're going to be doing our season 2. We've been doing these like minimum viable products, looking for investors, looking for great sponsors and whatnot. We're doing season 2. Every season gets better. You know, rest in peace. Our business development guy, Matt Granahan, passed away last year. I wish you could see what a massive jump we're making this year. Right now, I've got the producer of Craig Jones 1, Craig Jones 2, and Metamoris, those grappling events. He's agreed to come and produce Shoe Pro season 2. We have moved up into an actual studio with like lasers and smoke machines, and it's really going to be quite amazing. I would like for you to speak briefly. I know I always bring this up, but for me, being the catch wrestling nerd that I am, I'd like you to speak briefly about like your connection. Obviously, folk style wrestling is catch wrestling. It's just the submissions were taken out. But then you also had this carnival connection through your, was it your great uncle or your uncle?
Yeah, my great uncle, Johnny Miletich, who grew up in Albia, Iowa, southern Iowa, south central Iowa. The coal mining industry down there and agriculture, obviously. He left southern Iowa, went to Detroit to work in the Ford motor plant at the time, and the Depression hit. So he had boxed, of course, he had wrestled, you know, all of that. And what he decided to do was to go full-time boxing. And so back then, even as amateurs, amateur boxers were fighting for gift certificates for food during the Depression. So you were fighting for food. You weren't fighting for money. You were fighting to feed yourself back in those days. But he had done a lot of showing up at carnivals and fairs and things like that, where the carnival strongmen would be there, and they'd be, you know, well-versed in catch wrestling and also boxing. So after they would do their feats of strength with their Indian clubs or their lifts or whatever, they would challenge people in the crowd to either box them or wrestle them. So that's why my uncle went there. He went there deliberately to beat them up and practice his game and get better at what he was doing. So that, you know, that connection for me, and I only remember him, you know, from like family reunions and other times when we were down on the farms in southern Iowa, where he was the old guy with a nose that was super flat, big guy, big hands, old Croatian guy, but he was always in his garden because he had a lifetime of combat, right? And so he just found his peace in the garden. But when you talk about the app, I want to bring this up real quick. When you talk about the app, the connection to the digital age, we have to understand, we have to keep up with the times, right? The old world knowledge in food growing, in soil health, in, you know, all these things that got kind of hidden from us or left behind for modernity, all that's coming back because people realize what power there is in actually healing the soil and the human being and what that creates. That creates a powerful human being with an incredible immune function, and that builds better, stronger, meaner, just better athletes, everything all the way around. Connecting all of this knowledge to the digital age and the app and all the other things that we're doing merges past knowledge and future knowledge together and it's really hard to beat. It's really hard to beat when
Yeah,
people can show up, and it's not like a fight. Look, during these early days of no holds barred fighting, I had martial artists showing up at our gym all the time, national and world champion karate guys and kung fu guys, and they would just walk in literally, Jake, and they would say, "I want to fight the toughest guy in the building," and I go, "Well, you need to sign this document first. You sign this release, and then take your pick. I don't care who you pick. Pick any guy in the room." And they would always try and pick the guy that looked the weakest. And of course they'd get stomped, right?
Yeah, bully trap. That's what they used to call that, bully trap.
But those were real fights. I mean, those were bare knuckle fights between a karate guy and an MMA guy, an early MMA guy, and they could be pretty brutal, to be honest with you. With this is a grappling match. This is a grappling match. People are not getting punched. They're not getting elbowed. They're not getting kneed. It's merely a wrestling match with submissions. So this is going to catch on, and it is already, of course, where people are going to travel literally many miles to compete against each other deliberately. They're going to go to each other's gyms, and it's going to be under more friendly, I guess the setup to it is, hey man, I just want to compete against you. Let's see what you got.
You raised a couple actually a couple very interesting things to me personally, and that is one, this role of technology, right? And it's like I look at it almost like the Second Amendment. It's like guns aren't bad in and of themselves; it's how it's used. And you're right, like the technology in agriculture, for example, was not used for good. The technology was used to create these cheap, poisonous products like glyphosates and whatnot. But this is the same technology that has already, made young men glued to, they're in their mom's basement, not doing anything, not getting out in the world, and they're glued to a screen. But then there are these other technologies like cryptocurrencies that are distributing and taking the money back into the control of the people, or in this instant, the Grapplers Clash app that is part of Shoot Pro and part of Scientific Wrestling, where we're actually going to be encouraging people. And you're right, back in the day, I mean, I have a carotid dissection because I got choked. Because everybody, you fought out at chokes. How many people, before Matt Granahan, rest in peace, passed away, he was doing a lot of work to help people with the CTE, because back in the day you would get so concussed that you'd get that dementia pugilistica. So you're 100%. You touched on so many really, really important things that we're trying to do, and it's a big concept. So part of the hard part here is that we want people to understand that this feeder system using the app, as opposed to say, like, if you look at the expense now, I have a lot of friends and family that are involved in taking their kids to wrestling tournaments or to grappling tournaments. It's very expensive. For the price of a monthly membership to an app, you could we have our own in-house tournaments that actually lead somewhere, that lead to money, that lead to a professional lifestyle, and do so in a convenient way for the modern age. So I really love that. And I think it's important that we also not just try to reach athletes, we not just try to reach businesses specifically in the MMA field, but other brands. Imagine right now if you had been the sponsor of UFC 1 through 15, you were in the center of the canvas. That footage has been going around. How many times in viewed? That's evergreen marketing. These are the opportunities that we're trying to wake people up to be a part of something that is really, like I said, a revolution. Like you said, it's bringing the past and the future together. Sure, Catch Wrestling, nobody even really knows about it yet, and that's my fault. I'm trying to do that and try to blow it up, but I think there's a way to make it palatable. If you do look at this crazy valuation that TKO is trying to push, I can't remember what they said, but they wanted to say they were worth like $30 billion. Okay, fine, whatever. But that would, neither sport, UFC nor WWE, would exist without Catch as Catch Can Wrestling. WWE is a theatrical representation of Catch as Catch Can Direct. And UFC, sure, it may have been the first one in the United States, but the idea came from Shuto which happened in '85, which was Karl Gotch's idea, and Satoru Sayama. And then Pancrase came, where you found the Shamrocks come up, and Minoru Suzuki and these other guys, and that happened before UFC. So I think you're right. The time is perfect right now. Any other last minute points that you wanted to get across about Shoot Pro, why you believe so much in it, or what you would do to grab somebody, reach through the screen and shake their shoulders and wake them up about this?
Well, here's the thing. We know it's going to explode. We know that it is the premier grappling art, 100%. It always has been, right? So the CatchCon guys were destroying the guys that were destroying the Helio Gracies and folks like that back in the 1920s. The CatchCon guys were, yep. When those guys came to America, they got destroyed. The Terrible Turks got destroyed. So that's a get. We already know that. But more than anything, for people who are watching it, it doesn't take that much to understand, although there are a lot of complexities to grappling and wrestling, both. But when you combine them both into the pin or submission aspect, you create so much chaos for both athletes, and you have the opportunity for the jiu-jitsu practitioner to go in and win, the wrestler to go in and win, the sambo guy to go in and win, the judo guy to go in and win under these rules. And so it really unifies all of the grappling arts in one, because that's what it is and what it always has been. It is the king of all the grappling arts.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And you say it's complex, yeah, because it's like a physical chess match. But at the same time, look at the formula for MMA: submission or knockout. It's a simple vector to win, right? There's two options. Same thing with Shoot Pro: pin or submission. This pro wrestling has the same thing. It's the longest running TV show in the history of broadcast television. It's ingrained into the subconscious of America. But the crazy thing to me is that nobody has really thought to make it real. So it's actually a real
make it real again. Make it real again.
Yeah, again. Yeah. And then you said the other thing is that the complexity in the action, it's one thing when it's singles matches, but when we start doing the tag teams, which you started fooling around with back in the day, it is such a spectacle you cannot peel your eyes from. So I just want people to understand that marketplace for a genius architect of human performance like Pat Miletich to design the next level, right? We've got 25 years of sunk capital into this, just on the scientific wrestling side. And I mean, how long have you been doing this, Pat? Like 35, 40 years?
Well, but when you start growing, we started wrestling as children. I started at 5 years old. So I've invested my entire life in it in one way or another. Right. So, but the aspect of, think about this, when we talk about gang matches, when we talk about an entire team against an entire team, you're having dual matches now, gym versus gym. You're having a lot of huge events. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on. This isn't, this is a whole different level. Just as high schools and colleges do dual matches against each other, Russia versus against America, a dual match. Those are the sort of things that are going to be happening with this, and they're going to happen really fast. And people are going to love it because, again, the rule sets, the levels of the athletes that are involved, and the investors, obviously, the return on investment, the ROI is going to be incredible because it's very exciting, very fast-paced, and easy to understand for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really see that, especially the app, the ROI on the app is just going to be absolutely insane because a membership model is just so. That's why the whole software industry moved to a SaaS model, software as a service. But we're more than that. We are the pipeline. We are the talent pipeline. We are going to be everywhere because we are literally on everybody's phones, not just in terms of recruiting talent and getting content, but also providing top-notch, high-end produced entertainment as well. So, and the great thing is, and I want to cut this short because I know that you're busy and I appreciate you cutting out a little time in your busy schedule. But, we're looking for partners. That's why we sought out Frank Shamrock, for example, as the chairman. That's why we've got Jerry Briscoe and Larry Zbyszko, both guys with strong amateur wrestling backgrounds. Larry Zbyszko, most people don't know, was a Penn State wrestler, but both of them are WWE Hall of Famers.
And we have a Guinness and we have a Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, distinguished Hall of Famer in Wade Chalice.
Yeah, Wade could still kick my ass at he's in his 70s.
He's almost 70. I think he might be 70 now.
Right around 70. I'm not going up against him.
Yeah, he's unreal. He's unreal. So guys, anyway, thank you so much, Pat. I really appreciate you. Guys, if you're interested in being a part of this, show up, CatchCon.us. We got the whole spiel. If you want to learn, if you're a sponsor or an investor, go to shootprowrestling.com, shootprowrestling.com. That has all the details. If you want to watch season 1, and trust me, season 1, we did great on post-production, but we learned a lot about production. We're solving that this season. The production values are through the roof. Post-production is going to be through the roof. Talent's going to be through the roof. Last season, we had 2 LFA fighters enter. We had a Lights Out Fighting Championship fighter enter. It was just top-notch, great action. Guys, check out shootpro.tv. But if you want to be a part of the action, we're treating this like the old time, like Pat was talking about with Johnny Miletich, the carnivals. CatchCon is the new carnival for the new age. Exactly. You're going to go get coached by Pat. Pat's going to be there. Frank's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Rick Brown's going to be teaching people how to swing the mace, certifying people. But the cool thing is, for those of you who've got the guts to get in the ring, just like the old athletic shows at the carnival, you're going to have a chance. We're putting up $4,000 in prize money. There's 4 divisions: tag team, under 80 kilo, over 80 kilo, and we're adding women's this year. So you guys got to get in the room. This is the best party of the year. Pat, thank you. Any closing thoughts before we jump?
No, jump on board before it's too late, because we know that this is going to succeed. We don't associate ourselves with, losing ventures. We win, right? So
yeah, and one other thing before we go, guys, I want you to understand. So, guys, I have all this branding from my other company, Number One Coaching. Pat is also involved with Number One Coaching. So we do help entrepreneurs, businesses. We are looking probably over $3 million a year in revenue. We will come in and help coach up your team. This is a huge opportunity. There are massive parallels between sports performance and business performance. It's competitive, it's cooperative. You got to get points on the board. You don't win, you don't eat. A lot of that kind of technology. So if you're interested in that as well, hit up numberonecoaching.com. And guys, remember, if you want to be in the business with the people that actually built the modern fight game, whoops, I got to point the right direction. I can't get my camera right. You want to get in with Pat, okay? And CatchCon is going to be the quickest way to get there. Last year, he spent over 2 hours one-on-one talking to people and coaching them up. It was absolutely phenomenal. You could see some of that footage over at shootpro.tv. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you in May in Vegas at CatchCon.